Hey everyone, it's Josh on the Blockchain DXB podcast, and today is the 13th of August 2026, and so far as the CPI data is concerned, Satoshi, yesterday it was out, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI, the inflation data, is currently up by 0.01%. This, according to me, is great news for United States of America. And when you talk about geopolitical news between Iran and US, I do think it is a massive win for the Trump administration as well. But in today's episode, we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into what this news is all about. Now, one of the reasons why this inflation data is important, Satoshi, is because it directly and indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it? And later on in the month, I believe on the 28th or 29th of this month, there's also Jackson Hole's speech event, and at that session, the new Federal Reserve Board chair, that is Kevin Walsh, he will definitely be talking about inflation data, isn't it?
That slight increase in the core CPI is garnering quite a bit of attention, George, particularly given the anticipation surrounding the upcoming Jackson Hole Symposium. We'll be breaking down all the nuances, looking at the data points and considering the potential market implications. It's a crucial dynamic at play right now.
It definitely is a crucial dynamic at play, and here's the thing, Satoshi, regarding Bitcoin. One of the biggest advocates, that is Michael Saylor, his company, that is Strategy, looks like now they're focusing on cash reserve, and in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss that Strategy is boosting the cash reserve. Really interesting development, unfortunately, in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies though. Now the third and fourth news, Satoshi, are really interesting news. The third one is connected to Ethereum staking and Fidelity Investment, guys. They filed for Ethereum staking, so in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss the importance of this news. Cause look, getting involved in staking is a massive deal, and in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we often look at total value locked, isn't it? So we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into what this news is all about. Now the final news for today, Satoshi, is a political move, and according to me, it is a great move. And earlier this week or last week, Satoshi, we talked about Kalshi, where the New York State Attorney General, they were going after Kalshi, but now looks like CFTC is overriding that, and the news essentially is that CFTC, they've ordered Kalshi to continue operating in New York. And roughly around 3 to 4 months ago, Satoshi, President Donald Trump, he did clearly state that when it comes to regulations, particularly in the world of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies or even prediction market, CFTC should be having the oversight, isn't it? And according to me, the move done by CFTC is great. So it looks like, Satoshi, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover, isn't it, in today's episode?
We absolutely do, George. MicroStrategy's focus on cash reserves is a notable shift and presents a different angle to their Bitcoin strategy. Fidelity's move into Ethereum staking is also a massive development, signaling increased institutional interest in yield generation. And the CFTC's stance on Kalshi versus the New York Attorney General highlights a really interesting conflict in regulatory oversight. It's going to be a deep dive, to be sure.
Definitely is going to be an interesting episode, Satoshi. Now look, in every Blockchain DXB podcast, we also look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Do you want to tell our listeners what are the 2 news you're going to be discussing later on in today's episode? According to me, the first one is absolutely massive news, and this is connected to Coinbase, isn't it?
Coinbase establishing its tokenization hub in Abu Dhabi is huge, marking a significant step toward institutional adoption in the region. They've secured FSRA permission, which provides a clear regulatory framework for their operations. We'll also be discussing Saudi Arabia's AI incentives for cultural projects, showcasing their push to integrate AI into different sectors of their economy.
We definitely will, Satoshi, and it looks like we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. But before we go ahead and do that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everyone, this episode is powered by a new sponsor, that is Amana, and they are the region's first and fastest growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. So look, guys, whether you're looking into invest in US stocks like Apple or Tesla, or mega giants like ADNOC or Salik, Amana puts the financial markets on your fingertips. It includes gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, commodities, and guess what, guys? They have over 375 cryptocurrencies, and this makes them the biggest crypto selection in the region. Now for the Blockchain DXB listeners, guys, if you want to go and build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day, explore Amana's pre-built auto investment plans, and all you have to do is set your monthly budget, choose your preferred asset category, and let Amana automate the investing for you. Zero fees, zero lockups, 100% customizable. And here's the thing, guys, funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits, and even crypto wallets. no friction and no hassles. And the best part is, guys, let's say if you need support, you would absolutely love Amana for this, because they offer 24/6 human customer service, as well as a personalized sales support, real people, real help, and the customer support is in English as well as in Arabic. And for the Blockchain DXB listener and community, guys, I do have something really exclusive for you. What you can do is register with Amana using the code Blockchain DXB, or you can also use the link that is in the show notes below. And here's the best part, guys. Once you register, fund your account with a minimum of $100 and at least go ahead and make one trade, and then you'll receive a $100 trading bonus credit to your account the following month. But look, guys, it's real important to note, the bonus is non-withdrawable. It is there to help you trade and learn. So look, guys, if you're looking for a transparent, powerful and easy to use app, that's Amana for you. So what are you waiting for, guys? Download the app now, or you can also visit the website that is amana.app, and don't forget to use the code Blockchain DXB. And Amana, guys, is all markets one app. Next, guys, I'm happy to announce that Blockchain DXB is the official media partner with one of the OGs in the cryptocurrency and blockchain event space, and that is Blockchain Futuristic Conference taking place in Florida this year, as well as ETH Women taking place simultaneously. And trust me, guys, this is an event that you don't want to miss, isn't it? Because for the very first time, North America's most immersive Web3 event is heading to the United States of America, and the Blockchain Futurist Conference and ETH Women event is actually taking place between the 5th and 6th of November. And the location is absolutely stunning, guys. It is taking place at Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, which is in Hollywood, Florida. That's right, guys. Palm trees, panels, and the biggest mind in blockchain and cryptocurrency is all in one place. So there will be multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, hand-on tech demos, metaverse experiences, even outdoor VIP cabanas, and quite a lot more. And the Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, guys, is one of the most iconic venues in the country. So look, guys, if you're in the Web3 space, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or even artificial intelligence space, or just want to do some serious networking, this is the place that you got to be. And to all of you Blockchain DXB listeners, guys, we have something really interesting for you, because you can get a 25% off the tickets. So just use the code DXB25, and the link to the event as well as the code is in the show notes below. And as an official media partner, I'll be doing exclusive live coverage, interviews, behind the scenes access, and I will be spotlighting some of the most exciting projects shaping the future of decentralized finance tech. So if you're at the venue, guys, definitely come and say hi. Maybe we can catch up for a coffee as well. So listen, guys, the code is DXB25, and by using this code you will be eligible for a 25% discount. And the event is taking place between the 5th and 6th of November 2025 at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, that is in Hollywood, Florida. And in the show notes below, guys, there's all contact details for Blockchain Futuristic Conference Florida 2025, as well as ETH Women. And look, guys, this is the future of blockchain technology brought into life. So don't just read about it. Be there and head to the website that is futuristconference.com and go ahead and use the code DXB25. So see you at the event. Next, Advanced Media. Advanced Media, guys, is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE. So definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen, guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website that is www.amt.tv and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform, check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since you're taking care of that, let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's quickly run to the global cryptocurrency market. Now here's the thing guys, whenever CPI data is out, historically there's always volatility in the price of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And if you look at the prices since the last 24 hours, there is not much improvement. But am I right in saying, Satoshi, because the inflation hasn't picked up pace a lot, we might experiencing positive development in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? And if you look at things at a macro level, things are definitely shaping out better than ever before, isn't it?
That's absolutely correct, George. A marginal increase of 0.01% is generally taken as a positive sign. When inflation doesn't pick up pace as significantly as predicted, it directly influences market sentiment because it lowers the immediate pressure on the central bank to raise interest rates. This typically makes riskier assets like Bitcoin more appealing as investors look for potential returns in a less hawkish environment. Another reason is that lower inflation can bolster confidence that the economy is stable, which broadly supports market growth and increases retail participation.
So my right in saying, Satoshi, for the next 24 to 48 hours, a good matrix would be to go ahead and assess the crypto-related ETF inflows and outflows. Because look, because of CPI data or inflation data, we did see a bit of outflows in the world of crypto ETFs. But going forward for the next 24 to 48 hours, is it a good idea to keep a track on the crypto-related ETFs?
Keeping a close watch on ETF flows is definitely a useful metric, George, particularly in the immediate aftermath of significant economic data releases. Since we did see some outflows recently, observing whether that trend continues or if there's a swift reversal provides valuable insight into institutional sentiment and their risk appetite. It's a key part of the picture.
We'll definitely go ahead and track that every day in the Blockchain DXB podcast. But here's the thing guys, if you look at the global cryptocurrency market, it is only at $2.26 trillion. And so far the total cryptocurrency market volume is concerned, it is only at $51.69 billion. And what I really am not liking, Satoshi, is the volume of decentralized exchanges. It is only at $5.09 billion. And so far the total fees is concerned, it is down to $61.67 million. And in 2025, Satoshi, The total value locked, I believe, hasn't crossed the $80 billion mark. It is only at $75.16 billion. Now, just to give you some refresher, guys, in 2026, on an average given day, the total value locked used to be hovering somewhere between the $120 to $140 billion mark. Certain days it did actually cross even the $160 billion mark. But here's the thing, guys. Later on in today's episode, we will be discussing news regarding Fidelity with their file for Ethereum staking. So could it be possible because of that news, the total value locked will be seeing a bit of pump? I definitely am anticipating that. Now what is happening, guys, because of the CPI data? We did see a bit of outflows in the world of crypto ETFs, but these outflows is accounting to only $53.7 million. But as I and Satoshi discussed, it is a great idea to keep a track on what is going on regarding crypto ETF inflows and outflows, because that will give us a very strong assessment as to which direction the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are heading towards. Now why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners what is going on in the world of decentralized exchanges? So why don't you read out the matrix for the top 5 platforms, please?
You got it, George. Looking at the 24-hour volume metrics for decentralized exchanges, Uniswap leads the pack with 1.43 billion. PancakeSwap follows at 705.72 million, then Pump at 585.32 million, Aerodrome at 391.13 million, and BisonFi at 151.36 million. That's the current landscape on the DEX front.
Excellent, thank you so very much for that, Satoshi. And yes, the thing, as the volume of stablecoins isn't looking that great. Tether USDT's volume is only at $45.78 billion. Circle USDC is at number 2nd, though its volume is below the $10 billion mark at $8.63 billion. FDUSD, guys, is at number 3rd, but its 24-hour volume is well below the $80 million mark. It is only at $70.96 million. Now what I want you to do, Satoshi, I want you to tell our listeners what is going on regarding the market cap of Bitcoin, what is going on since the last 24 hours, and I'm talking about the 24-hour trading volume, and also tell our listeners the dominance, and do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Sure, George. The market cap for Bitcoin is 1.27 trillion, with 24-hour trading volume around 23.369 billion, giving it a dominance of 56.40%. For Ethereum, the market cap is 227.50 billion, with volume around 7.96 billion, and dominance at 9.95%. Binance BNB Coin has a market cap of 81.17 billion.
And regarding Binance's 24-hour trading volume, Satoshi, it is well below the $1.50 billion mark. It is only at $1.26 billion. Now look, Satoshi, every day in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we tend to look at one new matrix. Today what I want you to do is, I want you to run through some matrix that is connected to China. So why don't you tell our listeners, matrix that is connected to China, please?
Certainly, George. The market cap for top made-in-China coins is currently around $124 billion, showing a slight change in the last 24 hours. When we look at specific coins, Binance USDC has a market cap of $81.16 billion, Tron is at $31.87 billion, OKB at $2.03 billion, Astar at $1.62 billion, and USDD at $1.54 billion. That covers that sector.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now, why don't you do one thing? Why don't you tell our listeners what is going on regarding the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin? So tell our listeners the price, what is going on since the last 24 hours and 7 days, and do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Sure thing, George. The price of Bitcoin is currently $63,369, showing a slight 24-hour dip of 0.24% and a 7-day change of negative 2.11%. For Ethereum, the price is $1,885, with a 24-hour increase of 1.22% and a 7-day decline of 1.73%. Binance BNB price is $609, up 0.02% over the last 24 hours, and up 1.55% for the last 7 days.
Well, what is really interesting to know, Satoshi, is that Binance, their price has been going up since the last 3 days. So do you want to quickly check live what is going on in the world of Binance? Are there any partnerships or are there any recent developments taking place in the world of Binance? Because according to me, this is a bit of an anomaly because all of the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are falling down. Binance is the only one which has been picking up pace since the last 72 hours. So do you want to quickly check and tell our listeners, are there any recent partnership news or any developments taking place in the world of Binance? I do understand that they do have an ongoing case regarding Red Dot. I believe that is in Singapore, Hong Kong, isn't it?
Looking closely at what's happening with Binance, there haven't been any major partnership announcements in the last few days that explain the price movement. However, the recent statement from their CEO, Richard Tang, regarding their full compliance with regulatory requests may be bolstering confidence, along with continued focus on their commitment to security. The legal situation in Singapore and Hong Kong remains ongoing, but the lack of negative developments there might also be playing a role. It seems to be a mix of perceived stability and positive sentiment for their platform operations.
Really interesting news nonetheless. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and take a deep dive into what is going on at the macro level. Because if you look at the fear and greed index, guys, it is still at fear, but in comparison to the last 24 hours, the number has marginally increased from 36 to 37. And at a macro level, Satoshi, President Donald Trump did put out a really strong information about Truth Social, and what he actually said, that the United States of America now has full control of Straits of Hormuz, and he intends to keep it that way. And here's the thing, guys. He further went on in claiming that Iran is severely weakened and they're completely decimated military and economically, and so far as the inflation is concerned, their inflation is worsening as well. But let's do one thing, Satoshi. Before we go and look at numbers that is connected to inflation, why don't you tell our listeners the significance of United States of America having full control over Straits of Hormuz? According to me, that is great news, because what that actually means, ships will be flowing smoothly, and if that thing happens, the oil prices will consistently go down, and if oil prices consistently goes down, it will have a positive impact on inflation, which indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in a positive way, isn't it?
George, that statement from President Trump on Truth Social is definitely significant. George, establishing full control over strategic points, like the Strait of Hormuz, could drastically impact oil prices and overall global shipping. If that control leads to smoother flows and less disruption, it could mitigate supply fears, potentially lowering oil costs, which has a deflationary effect on the economy, thereby positively influencing broader inflation. This dynamic can indirectly boost Bitcoin sentiment, as a less inflationary environment may lead to a more favorable macroeconomic backdrop for risk assets. And as you mentioned, his comments on Iran's military and economic challenges further reflect ongoing geopolitical shifts. There's a lot to consider there.
And at the end of the month, Satoshi, there's also going to be Jackson Hole speeches, Nate. Do you think this particular statement by President Donald Trump will be echoed at that event as well? Because look, Kevin Walsh, he's a massive advocate of Bitcoin, and he's a good ally of President Donald Trump as well as Nate. And for all listeners, you should know by now that Kevin Walsh, he's now the chair of the Federal Reserve Board as well.
That's a key detail, George. Kevin Walsh's perspective as the new chair of the Federal Reserve Board, especially with his pro-Bitcoin stance, completely changes the potential direction of monetary policy. His long-standing ties to President Trump suggest there might be more alignment with economic goals that could be favorable to the crypto space, making those Jackson Hole statements even more critical.
Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and talk about CPI data, inflation data, and based on the official information via the Bureau of Labor Statistics, guys, US inflation merely rose by 0.1% in July, and this brings down the CPI inflation data from 3.4% to marginally up by 3.5% in June. Now here's the thing, guys, I cannot stress this enough. The official source to go ahead and look at information regarding inflation is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the website is www.bls.gov. And what the official report states is, core inflation, which includes food and energy, did actually increase by 0.2% in July and overall 2.5% over the past year. But here's the crazy thing, Satoshi, if you look at energy prices, it did actually fell 1.5% in July, while shelter and food prices both increased by only 0.1%. So if you look at overall inflation, at the current moment it is still elevated, but the latest data shows a slight cooling in annual inflation. Now am I right in saying, Satoshi, if President Donald Trump continues operating as he is, and also if the Straits of Hormuz is safe, the inflation will consistently go down, and that will definitely have a positive impact on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it?
You're right about that, George. The official data from the BLS does show a moderation in annual inflation, down to 3.5% in June. When you factor in the core inflation increase and yet the drop in energy prices, it presents a complex picture, with certain costs rising while others cool. If the macro conditions hold, including consistent stability in key areas like the Strait of Hormuz, that easing trend could continue, providing a positive catalyst for the cryptocurrency market, as you suggested. It's a key indicator to continue monitoring.
Now, Satoshi, look, when you talk about inflation, there are essentially two ways of reading this data, isn't it? One is year-on-year inflation, and the second is month-on-month inflation. And if you look at that particular information, Satoshi, after the Iran conflict, here's a crazy thing, guys. US inflation has consistently gone down, But so far as Iran's inflation is concerned, they're completely getting decimated, isn't it? So why don't you tell our listener Satoshi the significance of looking at inflation year on year versus month on month? And we also want to tell our listeners what inflation is looking for United States of America in comparison to that of Iran, please.
That's a valid comparison, George. Year-on-year data smooths out short-term fluctuations, giving you the broader trend, whereas month-on-month figures capture immediate changes, revealing recent momentum. Based on those charts, the U.S. inflation has consistently decreased year-on-year since the June peak, hitting 3.4% in July. In stark contrast, Iran has experienced significantly higher numbers both month-on-month, climbing to plus 9.5% in June, and year-on-year, reaching 88.6% that same month. This indicates a substantial divergence in their economic fortunes. Iran's inflationary pressures are clearly worsening.
Now here's the thing, guys. If you look at year-on-year inflation for Iran, in the month of May it was 87.4%, June it was 88.6%, July it was 87.9%, and if you were to compare that to United States of America, guys, in the month of May it was 3.6%, month of July it was 3.5%, and in July it was 3.4%. So you can clearly make an argument, guys, what President Donald Trump is doing regarding Operation Epic Fury is definitely working great for United States of America. Really interesting and impactful information in my honest opinion. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss some news regarding Michael Saylor. And looks like unfortunately he's no more Mr. Hodl guy and his company, that is Strategy. They have decided to add $650 million to USD reserves, and we are talking about cash. And here's the thing, guys, it is giving the company more cash to handle obligations and market volatility. And if you do need to go and look at official information regarding this, all of the information is available via the filing that is put out by the United Securities and Exchange Commission. And regarding Bitcoin, unfortunately, what the filing actually states, that Strategy has sold 1,690 Bitcoin, and they sold it for $108.6 million. And this is something which we did actually talk about, I believe, roughly around 2 weeks ago. Because after selling that particular Bitcoin, guys, they used the money to repurchase $109 million worth of SRTRC preferred stock. So it looks like Michael Saylor is no more Mr. Hodl guy. But here's some interesting fact, guys. Strategy definitely is a massive advocate of Bitcoin, and they currently still hold 840,447 Bitcoin. So look, Satoshi, am I right in saying the sale does not appear to signal a change in his long-term Bitcoin strategy? Instead, what I would say is, Strategy is rather becoming more focused on managing its cash, preferred shares, and overall financial structure alongside Bitcoin holdings.
That's a comprehensive summary, George. The divergent paths of U.S. and Iranian inflation are quite clear, with the U.S. trending downward while Iran continues to grapple with soaring rates. Now, on the MicroStrategy front, you're absolutely right. The sale of Bitcoin to strengthen cash reserves and manage preferred shares shows a clear move toward financial management beyond just accumulation. It's a tactical decision to handle obligations rather than a strategic divestment, given they still hold a massive amount of Bitcoin. They're balancing long-term belief with short-term liquidity needs. Another interesting part is what this means for corporate Bitcoin strategies going forward.
Now, for some people, Satoshi, or detractors of Michael Saylor, what advice you'd like to give them, keeping in mind what is going on regarding Bitcoin? Because look, at a macro level, you can also make an argument that now rather than hodling Bitcoin, they're now hodling cash, isn't it?
For the detractors, I'd say it's worth remembering that Michael Saylor's strategy was always about long-term treasury allocation, not necessarily short-term trading. This recent move is more of a pragmatic adjustment to manage obligations, not an abandonment of his long-standing thesis. You could make the argument that holding cash is just another form of risk management, ensuring the company's viability to continue supporting Bitcoin in the long run. It's about balancing conviction with capital structure.
I totally agree with what you're saying, Satoshi. And here's the thing, guys. Whatever we're saying is not financial advice. Make sure you go and do your own research. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and talk about some news that is connected to Ethereum staking. And this is by a giant company called as Fidelity. And the news, guys, is that Fidelity has filed with the United Securities and Exchange Commission to add staking to its Fidelity Ethereum fund, and the ticker symbol for that is FETH. And here's the crazy thing, guys, the fund could take up to 100% of eligible Ethereum and would keep 85% of the staking rewards, with the remaining 15% used for the fees. And regarding this news, guys, Fidelity plans to distribute staking rewards to investors in cash every quarter, although it is important to note that the payments are not guaranteed. Now this particular move, Satoshi, would actually bring the Fidelity Ethereum fund closer to other US Ethereum funds that already offer or are pursuing staking rewards, isn't it? So what do you make of this particular news, Satoshi? And after that, why don't you tell our listeners the significance of this particular news, because let's say if this thing gets approved, I'm pretty much sure the total value locked will be increasing, and along with that, I'm pretty much sure we'll also have a pump in the price of Ethereum as well, isn't it?
Fidelity's move with the FET fund is a big deal, George. It signifies major institutional validation of Ethereum staking, making the asset class more accessible and attractive to traditional investors by integrating staking rewards directly into the fund. You're right, if this gets approved, we'd likely see a significant increase in total value locked as more capital flows into staking protocols. This kind of institutional adoption could also very well lead to a price pump for Ethereum, as demand for the asset increases and less supply is available in the open market. This bridges the gap between traditional finance and decentralized finance in a major way.
Now, for people who are detractors of Ethereum Satoshi, am I right in saying, with moves such as this, only the rich are getting richer? Cause look, Fidelity right now is a giant company, isn't it? And because of the available funds that they have, they are now venturing into staking rewards as well. So essentially, moves such as this does not give any room for average users, isn't it?
That's a perspective some might hold, George. The scale needed to comfortably participate in institutional staking naturally favors larger players like Fidelity. It's true that these big moves could create larger gaps, potentially making it harder for individual users to directly compete with that level of capital. An alternative consideration, though, is that this could also bring more standardization and liquidity to the staking market overall, which might lead to other services or opportunities for smaller participants down the line. It's certainly a two-sided coin.
It's definitely an interesting perspective, Satoshi. Thank you so much for your valuable insights. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss the final news for today. And this is connected to US Commodity Future Trading Commission. And the news causes that they have ordered Calci to continue operating after New York Attorney General Letitia James decided to sue the company over 7 contracts. Now what I'd really urge our listeners to do is go ahead and check out the official press release. Because what happens, Satoshi, is that right now the CFTC in the United States of America, they're definitely fans of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it? And when you talk about this from a political point of view, left-leaning ideologies who are now turning into socialist nations, they're definitely opposing Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I hate saying this, New York is turning out to be one of the leading factors of socialism, isn't it? And regarding this news, New York is also seeking to stop Calci from offering these contracts nationwide, and it is seeking more than $36 billion in damages. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because roughly around 3 months ago, Satoshi, President Donald Trump clearly posted via Truth Social that when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency regulations, it should be the CFTC that should be handling it. And regarding this news, CFTC argues that Calci operates as a federally regulated financial exchange and should not be subject to differentiate gambling laws. Now, according to me, Satoshi, what CFTC is doing is absolutely excellent, and this particular move highlights a growing legal fight between federal regulators and states over who has authority over prediction markets. Now, me personally, Satoshi, I'd like to see CFTC taking over regarding the rules and regulations, but what is your assessment regarding this particular news, Satoshi? And finally, Satoshi, what advice you'd like to give to Letitia James, and also what advice you'd like to give to Calci regarding this particular news?
The CFTC's decision to order Calci to continue operating is definitely a bold move, George, asserting federal authority over prediction markets as federally regulated financial exchanges. This directly contradicts the New York Attorney General's lawsuit and highlights a growing legal disagreement between state and federal powers. From my perspective, this sets a major precedent for how crypto and related financial derivatives will be regulated in the U.S. It underscores the need for clarity regarding jurisdictional boundaries. As for Letitia James, this federal action could fundamentally challenge the legal basis for her lawsuit, suggesting a reassessment might be necessary. For Calci, it presents a stronger legal position to continue operating, though they still need to navigate the state-level challenge. The final outcome will likely depend on how the courts interpret the CFTC's authority in this case.
Well, thank you so much for your valuable insights, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. The first news, according to me, is a massive news, and the news causes that Coinbase, they have established its tokenization hub in Abu Dhabi, and they have done that with financial services permission from the Financial Services Regulatory Authority. Now, the hub guys will operate within Abu Dhabi Global Market Financial Center, and the permission that Coinbase received from the Financial Services Regulatory Authority allows them to provide regulated custody services, and essentially it allows Coinbase to arrange investment deals. And regarding the hub will support the launch of tokenized securities, and tokenized securities guys will be backed by underlying shares, and the securities will operate under the Financial Services Regulatory Authority regulatory supervision, and eligible token holders can receive shareholder rights, and these rights can include dividends as well as voting rights. and investors guys can access the securities using a digital wallet, and Coinbase aims to expand access to global capital markets. But here's the crazy thing, Satoshi, the transactions that are taking place will undergo continuous sanction screening checks, and assets can be frozen or seized when legally required. And regarding the news, guys, Coinbase wants to combine regulated finance with blockchain infrastructure. And here's the thing, guys, the UAE will be hosting two major Coinbase international businesses, and the Emirate of Abu Dhabi will focus on tokenized securities and capital markets. And Coinbase regarding the news, does see on-chain finance as the future of global markets? What is your assessment regarding this particular news, Satoshi? I think it is great for the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, isn't it?
This development is significant, George. Coinbase formally establishing a presence in Abu Dhabi through the Financial Services Permission shows their commitment to building regulated infrastructure for digital assets. Operating within the ADGM provides clarity for institutional players, as Coinbase can now offer custody services and facilitate investment deals. The focus on tokenizing securities backed by shares is a clear move towards bridging traditional finance with blockchain technology. This opens up possibilities for shareholder rights, like dividends and voting, to be managed digitally, enhancing efficiency. It's also notable that Coinbase is integrating continuous screening protocols. This shows a serious commitment to compliance, which is crucial for the region's growing ecosystem. Looking broader, the UAE securing major Coinbase operations underscores its ambition to be a top global hub for digital assets, building on Dubai's efforts with Vara. The different focuses in Abu Dhabi and Dubai show a comprehensive approach to attracting various facets of the industry. You're correct in saying this looks great for the Emirate of Abu Dhabi as they position themselves in the capital market space. These kinds of moves are key to fostering long-term market development and innovation. On-chain finance being a global feature is definitely trending, and this places them favorably.
Now, Satoshi, you talked about screening protocols, isn't it? I want to get your honest opinion regarding this, because look, transactions now will undergo continuous sanction screening checks, and according to me, assets can be frozen or seized when legally required. Does this not go against the very ethos of why Bitcoin was created? Because when you talk about Bitcoin, there is no centralized entity involved, isn't it? But here's the interesting thing. This news definitely is great from the Emirate of Dubai, but when you go back and look at this from a philosophical level, it does go against the very ethos of why Bitcoin was created in the first place, isn't it?
That tension is real, George. The continuous screening and potential freezing of assets absolutely clashes with Bitcoin's foundation of decentralization and self-custody. Bitcoin was designed precisely to avoid that central control, where no single entity could censor or seize funds. However, what we're witnessing is the direct result of trying to integrate crypto into traditional financial systems and regulatory frameworks. Institutional adoption and large-scale commerce require these levels of compliance for legal certainty. So you have this fundamental divergence, the pure ideological case for Bitcoin versus the pragmatic reality of integrating it with existing structures. It's not necessarily great for the philosophical ethos, but from a business perspective, it's seen as a necessary step for growth and widespread use in places like the UAE.
Well, definitely interesting, solid advice, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and look at the second news. And this is on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, isn't it? Do you want to tell our listeners more information regarding this news? Because this is a great initiative that is done by the Saudi Arabian Cultural Fund, isn't it?
That is definitely correct, George. And this is on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Cultural Development Fund has launched AI incentives for cultural projects, partnering with the Ministry of Culture and SDAIA to support digital transformation in the sector. Eligible projects can receive up to SAR 500,000, focusing on small and medium-sized businesses to develop and adopt innovative AI solutions. The funding targets areas like creativity, heritage preservation, and cultural project management, and applications are open until September 2026. This initiative supports Saudi Vision 2030's goals for digital innovation and sustainability.
Now look, Satoshi, I'm in the world of blockchain technology, isn't it? Do you want to tell our listeners what role blockchain technology can actually play in this? Am I right in saying a news such as this? Maybe it is best not to use blockchain technology, but let's say if you still want to use blockchain technology, what do you think are the areas where blockchain technology could actually play a massive role in this? Because look, this particular news does touch base on cultural experiences, isn't it? Because if I'm not mistaken, they're focusing on content development and cultural knowledge.
You're right, George. Content development and cultural knowledge projects are specifically mentioned. Blockchain could play a massive role here, particularly for intellectual property protection and provenance tracking of cultural assets. Tokenizing content or historical records creates an immutable trail of ownership and authenticity. Furthermore, blockchain could facilitate transparent funding models, like decentralized autonomous organizations, to govern community projects and cultural knowledge databases. This ensures fair compensation and governance without centralized gatekeepers.
Am I right in saying Satoshi NFTs will be more aligned to this, as opposed to, let's say, saving data on open blockchain as such?
Yes, George. NFTs are perfectly aligned for this kind of application. They're uniquely identified digital assets, making them ideal for representing ownership of specific cultural content, like digital art, historical documents, or virtual experiences. Saving data on an open blockchain directly can be inefficient or costly, but NFTs provide a standard way to represent ownership while the underlying data is stored elsewhere, linking back to it securely. This gives you that authenticity and tradability without overloading the chain.
Definitely interesting news nonetheless. So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, where listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Let's go ahead and look at the Ask Me Anything series, and probably some listeners, they do have some interesting questions for us in today's episode, alright?
Sure, George. Let's kickstart the Ask Me Anything series. I'm curious to check what questions listeners have in store for us.
Hey everyone, it's George on the Blockchain DXB podcast. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And we have an interesting question by Pam who asks, what do you think matters more for Bitcoin right now? US inflation, ETF flows, or geopolitical risk around Straits of Hormuz? This, to be honest, Pam, is such an interesting question. And according to me, all of these answers are connected, isn't it? According to me, the first and probably the most important is news regarding geopolitical situation. Because look, what is going on regarding Straits of Hormuz, and under President Donald Trump's leadership, things are definitely improving right now, isn't it? And earlier on today, Satoshi, we talked about where President Donald Trump did put out a really interesting post for Truth Social, where he confirmed that Straits of Hormuz is fully under United States of America's control. And if that thing continues, Satoshi, I do feel that there will be smooth flow of ships, which actually means that there is more flowing of oils. And once that thing continues, inflation will consistently go down. And if that thing happens, Satoshi, a lot of investor sentiment, they will be putting a lot of investment into ETFs, and that particular matrix is ETF inflows. So according to me, Pam, the first and probably the most important is the geopolitical risk around Straits of Hormuz, and that is connected to inflation, and that is once again connected to ETF inflows, isn't it? So am I right in saying, Satoshi, President Donald Trump is doing the right things right now, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next coming months, because right now there's midterm elections coming up as well, isn't it?
You're right, George. All those factors are certainly connected. Geopolitical risk, like the situation around the Strait of Hormuz, can immediately impact oil prices, which then feeds into inflation numbers, a critical metric for Bitcoin's valuation. Similarly, ETF flows can be driven by sentiment, which responds to those geopolitical and inflationary pressures. Regarding Donald Trump's approach, his policies and statements definitely influence market confidence, and as you noted, that impacts trade stability and economic outlooks. The upcoming midterm elections will be another key factor, potentially changing policy direction and affecting Bitcoin's perceived status as a hedge.
Apart from these factors, Satoshi, do you envision any other areas that will directly impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Now look, in 2020 we did have a collapse of FTX, isn't it? Hopefully we do not get such a situation right now, and let's say for unfortunate situation, if something similar does actually arise, that will definitely take the momentum away from all of these macro factors. And I'm talking about an unfortunate collapse of, let's say, Binance or maybe any other big cryptocurrency exchange, right?
You're touching on a critical point, George. Systemic risks within the industry, like the collapse of a major exchange, as we saw with FTX, can absolutely supersede all macro factors. Such an event would shatter confidence, lead to massive sell-offs, and trigger intense regulatory scrutiny, fundamentally reshaping the landscape regardless of inflation or ETFs. Additionally, major technological breakthroughs or the discovery of critical vulnerabilities within Bitcoin's protocol could have a similar impact, though that seems less likely. Also, significant government bans or restrictions, while generally priced in from major economies, could disrupt global flows.
And you talked about technological breakthrough, Satoshi, and Pam on 8th of August. there was a very high chance for Bitcoin to be split, and this was connected to Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 110. Thankfully, that thing did not materialize, and am I right in saying, Satoshi, if that split would have happened, that would have also created a bit of panic in the world of Bitcoin, which would have eventually impacted the price not only of Bitcoin, but also for other cryptocurrencies as well, isn't it?
You're exactly right, George. If such a contentious split materialized, as highly debated proposals like BIT 110 could have done, it would definitely shake investor confidence and create panic. Market participants might see it as a sign of instability, leading to sell-offs and potentially fragmentation in the network. That would absolutely depress prices, not just for Bitcoin, but could pull down the entire cryptocurrency market with it due to interconnectedness.
Definitely right, Satoshi. Thank you so much for your valuable insight, and thank you so much for your valuable question, but I really appreciate that. So that's about all, guys, on the Ask Me Anything Series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursday, we have Blockchain DXB podcast. We look at the process, we look at the latest technological development. Then, guys, we look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. We look at the latest technological development, artificial intelligence, hot topic in the Middle East right now. And what you're listening to right now, guys, is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening. guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.